co-founder of Soluna Fine Art. Before she starts her presentation, let me briefly introduce Rachel Lee and Soluna Fine Art first. Rachel Eun Ju Lee is the co-founder of Soluna Fine Art, and she studied fine art at Hongik University in Korea and started her career as an artist. And she exhibited her artworks in many galleries and museums around the world. Later in 2014, she opened Soluna Fine Art in Cheongwon, a gallery specializing in Asian fine art and objects. It has showcased many established and emerging artists in Korea and Hong Kong, focusing on Eastern aesthetics and philosophy. Rachel has been featured in many articles and stories on the Hong Kong art scene, and she also serves as a director of Hong Kong Gallery Association. And today she's going to talk about how she started Soluna Fine Art and what kind of challenges she has faced. And she will also share her insight into Korean and Hong Kong art scenes. After her presentation, we are going to have a Q&A session, so please feel free to ask her any questions after listening to her presentation. Hi, Rachel. Shall we start?
Hi, how are you? How are you, everyone? First of all, nice meeting you all. I am Rachel Eun Ju Lee, the founder of Soluna Fine Art. As Professor Shin mentioned, Soluna Fine Art is located in Cheongwon. I studied a gallery and run the gallery as a director. And also I sit on the board of the Hong Kong Gallery Association now. I feel very honored today to be here with you guys, and big thanks to Baptist University and especially Professor Shin Kyung-jin to give me an opportunity for this talk. So when Professor Shin asked me to give a talk to you guys, I had to think what should I share and what would be the best topic to share to young students. And of course, there are so many things that I want to talk about and share. But rather than talk about the technical aspect of the gallery, I thought that maybe it would be nice to share my personal journey and how I studied and what particularly has been very struggling and challenging in my my time. So I understand many of you guys today are either studying art or working as an art professional, right? So I believe you have also fallen in love with art during your time in your life, right? Like me. So do you remember when was the first time when you either studied training or found interest in art? For me, it was a long time ago. Since I was really young, I'm sure same for many of you guys. I also had a love for making art and playing with colors. And I was always very curious about so many things in life and had many questions on, many beautiful things and different things and, so many questions and curiosity that surrounds me in everyday life. But among all those days, I mean, like I have this strong memory that I have. I remember the day when I decided to, really dedicate my life to art. So I was 12 years old. I was coming back home, and it was a beautiful day in Seoul. I am originally from Seoul in Korea. Back then, it was Seoul, Korea was a different place. Anyway, I was coming home and I saw a beautiful lady holding an abstract painting that was blue. And she was really young, like, at that time I thought she was older lady, but she was 20. I think she was only young, like 23 years old lady with 2 American men. At that time, of course, I didn't have any idea what the abstract painting was. I never really seen abstract painting. Also, I've never seen a foreign person in my neighborhood. Because back in 1980, nothing like Hong Kong, Korea was, not that international, and not many, non-Korean people were around. So everything was very foreign. Everything was very, amazing and very exciting. So what I did was I went home. I told my mom, I want to go to the art studio. This is so cool. I want to really see, I really want to explore and, just do painting with her. So ever since then, I've been going to a studio, and then, I've been continuing my journey of life together with love of art. So it's like a miracle now that, everybody's life is a miracle, but almost 3 decades later, I'm here with you guys and sharing my short story, how my life has been evolved around many events in life. But there's, of course, has been a very tough journey here and there, but I believe I've always had a very strong passion of love for art. That was, art was always supporting my journey, not only as an art lover, but also as a human being. So I was once like all of you guys, and very young, naive, didn't know what to do in my life, especially didn't know what to do with art. All I knew was that I wanted to do something with art. So I went to school, art school, and I also studied a little bit in US. Here and there, Korea also gone through a lot of social political change and I'll say social political time. Still now, anyway, I tried many different things. I was a young artist. I was teaching in small school to university, and then I got a job in between to make living, because 1990 we had a IMF and the whole country was having a financial crisis. So in my 20s was not an easy time. Not as just only an artist, but just, as a young person. Yeah, so, to tell the truth, there were times I was very frustrated and also very upset about the whole life. This feeling of frustration was not ended, honestly, with you guys. But I learned and accept, and I learned to accept and tame the feeling of frustration as part of life and my journey to get to the next destination, to, get through my dream with art. So I tell you, it's all going to be okay. I figure out the beauty of youth when I look back is being brave and face all kind of challenge and experience all kind of very embarrassing failure, but without failure and all those experience, I don't think I am here now and share my story. I'm sure you'll be all fine too. So be brave and do find something what you love to do, and just you can figure out. And life is ongoing journey. Every day you have to make choice, but I believe that you make better choice every day, in the future. Okay, so anyway, fast forward some of the interesting story of my life. 2014, I came back to Hong Kong. I came to Hong Kong in 2004, and so 2014 was my second try. And then I started my company called Space Glider, which was an art consulting company. Then I opened Soluna Fine Art. Actually, I moved into this current gallery space 2018. Many people still ask me why and what makes you think you want to open a gallery in Hong Kong. Well, it's $1 million question. Well, when I came to Hong Kong second time, I was with my husband and 3 kids. I fell in love with Hong Kong when I first came, and I was really excited about the energy in the city that have, which is like very multicultural, and their people are from everywhere, and I could see a lot of opportunity and excitement. So 2018 October, I start my first show in my current gallery. So let me share some of my PowerPoint so you guys can see what I have gone through with Soluna Fine Art. So can you see the slide?
Yes.
Can you see the first page, Soluna Fine Art?
Yeah. I can see all the screen. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think you have to share only the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's better.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
So this is my gallery, our gallery, Soluna Fine Art. This is the picture of the door of Soluna Fine Art on Side Street. Have you guys heard of Soluna Fine Art before, or have you been to some of our show before? Okay, Soluna Fine Art is located in Side Street. Side Street is on between the beautiful Holly Road, where this beautiful temple called Mamo Temple. And in between Mamo Temple and Tangpingshan Street, we are located in Side Street. I just will go through quickly about some of the show that I did. This was one of the early show I curated and showed to the audience in Hong Kong. This was called Colorful Mist. So at the time, my focus of Soluna Fine Art was I wanted to share especially like some of the Asian artworks, because my knowledge was more, rich on Korean art. And then, this show is 2 of the Tansekwa master called Park Se-bo and Choi Myung-young. And then 2 of the optical artists, Carlos Diaz, and then, sorry, I'm a little bit nervous today, like Carlos Diaz and the, another, sorry, I suddenly don't remember the artist's name, but this show was very special to me because I wanted to make people to think about the concept of color between the West and East, because Tansekwa was about color. 색 in Chinese and Korean means color, and the optical artist was also the 1960 and 70 in Western art history. There's artist group that focus on the illusion of color. So that was the show. And then this is another Yu Hong artist, and this is another professor from Hongik. His name is Kim Yong-chul. And this is one of our recent show of four very talented emerging artists. Two of them, actually, three of them based in Hong Kong. One artist was from Korean, but based in Netherlands. The show was called Gravity. Well, fast forward my journey. I told you I used to be an artist. So this is was my first last show in 2013. I had a lot of personal change from 2013 to 2018 because I moved to Hong Kong in 2014 with my family. So personally, I had a lot of challenge and trying to figure out not only with the family for the new city, but also I wanted to do something with my knowledge of art and so here you go. I start my gallery called Soluna Fine Art. So before I talk about my first show, I would like to share why I make the name Soluna Fine Art. Sol and Luna means sun and moon, right? At that time I was particularly interested in the works that, I wanted to showcase some of the work that my interest was more of the works that is like not only Korean art, but I throughout my study I realized there is some sort of difference between the Western artists versus the Asian artists. So I thought that I want the work. I mean, at that time, I choose this name, Soluna Fine Art, because I want the work that has more of connection to the nature and also sharing the harmony of life through art. So this is my picture of my first time when I found my space, and the one on the left is just the first time I saw the space, and the one on the right was when I first hang my sign of Soluna here. So this is my first show. The first show I start was the artist named Lee Gang-ho. He is one of the most established buncheong artists from Korea. This is him. So before I start the show, I went to his studio in Cheongju in Korea, and it was beautiful space. And this is his area where he makes his buncheong. And this is the show. This is the first show that I had called Buncheong Landscape by Lee Gang-ho. So I've been talking a lot, and I'm sure you want something exciting video that I can share now. I would like to share Lee Gang-ho's interview. Let me see if I can share. Can you see Lee Gang-ho's video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Full screen, yes.
Yeah, this is going to be about 5-minute talk by him, and about how he created the works. And also when you see the video, not only we had a show, we had actually invited him to the performance. So you will see the whole performance here, okay? I'll start. So I think it's
상대적으로 제 제 작업은 한국에서 15세기에 유행했던 분청 사기 기법을 현대적으로 재해석한 작업입니다. 분청이라는 것은 흙 바탕, 페퍼가 짙은 흙에다가 하얀 백토로 분장해서 장식하는 기법입니다. 저는 어릴 때부터 하늘 보는 걸 좋아했습니다. 하늘을 보면은 뭐 밤에는 별도 있지만은 온갖 구름과 바람과 자연현상이 동시에 존재하죠. 그래서 하늘을 보면서 또 먼 산을 바라보면서 저희 어떤 꿈을 키워나갔고 저희 미적 세계의 원동력이 됐다고 생각합니다. 그래서 어떤 눈으로 표시할 때도 그런 자연현상들, 바람이 부는 것이라든가 아니 산들의 중첩된 모습, 그리고 별들이 반짝이는 모습 그런 이미지들을 저희 도자기에 표현하려고 노력하고 있습니다. 기능만을 배우는데 한 3년에서 5년이 걸려요. 그래서 그 기능을 배운 후 제 분청사기 작업이랑 접목을 시켜서 좀 현대화된 작업을 표현하고 있습니다. 네, 이번 작업의 큰 주제는 분청 산수입니다. 분으로서 표현할 수 있는 산수적 표현. 주로 하늘의 이미지를 많이 표현했고요. 하늘에서 바람이라든가 구름이라든가 그런 자연현상들, 또 산의 이미지 그런 것들을 표현하는 데 주력을 했습니다. 손으로 그림을 그리는 그림이 많았어요. 손그림이라는 것은 어떤 아이디어나 스케치가 필요하지 않은 그 즉흥적인 행위 그림이었어요. 그래서 저는 평소에 제 작업에도 스케치가 들어가지 않는데 바로 이 순간의 그런 기분을 굉장히 중요시 여깁니다. 그래서 생각을 멈추고 그 순간에 가슴으로 표현할 수 있는, 손으로 표현할 수 있는 작업이 뭔가 이제 생각을 하다가 벡터를 손으로 붓을 사용하지 않고 벡터를 한번 칠해보자. 거기서 차관이 돼가지고 온기와 분청 기법을 병행된 작업을 했었습니다. 그래서 뭐 영국이라든가 미국 그런 워크숍을 통해서 퍼포먼스를 한 20년 동안 진행하게 되었습니다. 그렇지만 그 퍼포먼스라는 것이 일부러 의식해서 된 게 아니라 작업장에서 하던 그 작업이 많은 대중들과 함께 호흡할 수 있는 그런 장르로 발전을 하게 됐고 또 짧은 시간 내에 많은 사람들과 이렇게 공유할 수 있는 것이 필요하기 때문에 사물놀이의 우리나라의 전통음악인 사물놀이 음악을 틀어놓고 음악에 맞춰서 그런 퍼포먼스 행위를 펼쳐나가게 되었습니다. 가끔 잉크 페인팅도 하는데 평소에는 거의 제 전공이 흙에다가 하얀 벡터를 이용해서 그림을 그려나가지만은 이건 전통적인 산수의 표현, 흰 종이에다가 검정 잉크로 그려나가는 기법 이런 것들도 제가 하는 도자 작업과 마찬가지로 어떤 산의 이미지, 뭐 진짜 있는 산은 아닙니다. 제 마음속에 있는 산의 표현 어떤 스케치나 미리 구상을 하지 않고 그 순간순간 느끼는 산의 이미지를 그려나갈 뿐입니다. 그려나가다 보면 산이 될 수도 있고 물이 나오기도 하고 또 사람이 나오기도 하고 또 폭포가 나오기도 하고 순간 모든 생각을 멈추고 가슴으로 바라보는 보이지 않지만 보이는 그런 산의 이미지를 그려나가는 것입니다.
Okay. How did you guys like the video? So this first show that I did with my team was my grand opening. You probably will, let me change the screen, other one. So, some of you probably is curious about like how do you curate the show or how do you, prepare a show, right? So, briefly explain to you that we first met I first need a space. You first need a space, and then you need or artworks, which require a lot of preparation. It's called curation. So we discuss with the artist, and then we choose the work that is right for the whole show, and the whole team will prepare and learn about each individual piece, but also, I think that artwork is by an artist, but as a gallery, curating a show means that you need to create a right story to connect to the audience, for them to easily understand, or for them to kind of, like, let's say, like artist story together with curation become another form of art. So in this show, I visited Igang-hyo, and then we choose the work and we prepare all the documents and website and all those the paperwork. But then I thought maybe it'll be great if he can come and show his performance. So the video that I share, it was actually happening next door. Luckily at that time, next to my gallery, there was an empty space. So when I look at the space, I thought, wow, I think it's perfect if he can create a big jar, the ongi pot, and then he can show his performance. So everything was great. I clean up and I hang some, white clothes around the space to make the focus to the performance. And then, we invite many guests at that time. And the performance and the reaction to the audience was very, very great. So yeah, it was really happy show, but once again, at the time, I didn't know so many people in Hong Kong. I actually didn't have so many, collectors that I knew in town. All I knew was, I know this is great works, and I would like to share the passion by the artists, and people loved it. So let me go through the basic, some of the, works that we do for the show. So to create a show as a gallery, first, curation. The curation is, as I said before, not only going through each individual works, and then the individual works, all kind of paperworks to get all the information, size, and the materials and all that. And then also each works has a lot of information individually. So you need to write down everything in the documents about the whole detail of the works. And then you make the list, and then together with the list, you need to put together press release and press release. And then you need to invite the audience together with collector. That's not the end of the job as a gallerist. We need to also create artist talk so the audience can join and hear about the artworks. And sometimes it can be artist talk, sometimes it can be a art professional joining the gallery and then share their knowledge. Of course, we also need to do some art fair exhibitions. And also, this is very important part of the job as a gallery, PR communication. Nowadays, everybody do Instagram. We do a lot of Instagram and social media. And then we also invite a lot of news media and all kind of media and press. And then we do also manage the website. So it's a lot of work actually. But again, thanks to not only my own passion, that my passion is just nothing. I have a very good team who create the show together, and I have a very strong operation team. And then also we do have to do sales, right? Because gallery's job, one of the most important job as a commercial gallery, not only connecting artists to collector, we have to make sales because, art, painting or art is, I would say, it's a visual intellectual activity. So, people work hard together, put this show together, and then the collector buys art so that all the people in art ecosystem, they can share, and then they can also continuously practice and research their artistic journey together. So here's a simple story of my life as an art gallerist. And yeah, I'm sure you guys have many questions. And yeah, so should we start Q&A?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing your story and experience. And it was so fruitful and inspiring. And I think we can start the Q&A session now. So, yep. So is there anybody who has questions or any comments, any feedback to her presentation? Or you can just leave some words on the chat box. So let me start by asking a question. Yeah, it was very impressive that you had trained as an artist and actively did your artwork by yourself for a long time. And at some point you turned your career path to running a gallery without any previous degree or any study in curation. So I'm also artist, and so that's why I can really relate you, because yeah, so it must be very challenging, right? At the beginning of, running the gallery. So I have many questions in relation to that moment. And what was the motivation or turning point in changing your career path? That's the first question. And the other question is, what drove you, what was the most challenging point you faced when you, run the gallery?
Well, the challenge is every day. Actually, I always have so many doubts. I had a lot of doubts. I also felt a bit confused whether it's the right path or not. And, I never really run a big gallery or a big business. I would say I'm a bit crazy at that time, that I feel like I had to do something, but also, like life has full of events that is not expected, right? And especially from, this topic is another long topic that we can share, but especially as a female artist, and, you married to someone and you have a family and you have choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, maybe my naive idea, I thought that because being an artist is a full-time job, and I thought that if I do run a company together with other professional, then maybe I can share some little bit here and there, and then just maintain it together with my family, jobs, and things like that. But again, it was completely wrong, because actually I learned that it's even more job than what I expected. But to be honest with you, I look back, like being an artist also a journey to find, when you think about very
I cannot hear. Hello?
Hello, Rachel.
Okay, let me. Oh, yes, I can see you now. Can you turn on your microphone?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I look back. I mentioned to you that I took a couple of different jobs, not only because I was curious, but also here and there I wanted to make living as an artist. So during my MFA degree, I was working for a company that creating a PowerPoint for a company for investment stuff, right? All that experience, and one day I realized actually it's like come together, and I realized that I have a strong love about art, but I also always like talking about art with people, and I realized I'm not a right person to stay in my studio all day long. I like people, and I like talking to people about, especially when I am connect with someone, I just love sharing art. I guess I'm sure many of artists also can be like that, but again, like somehow life pull out together, and I thought that maybe there's something I can do to support the other group. And at that time, I was pretty happy with my family. I felt like, but I still wants to do something for the people, and I thought I have a little bit of talents putting it together. So that's why I start the gallery. But trust me, every night I'm thinking, oh, what did I do? I was it a right decision? And I was so scared because every month you have to pay, rent, you have to pay the salary, you have to pay all the tax and everything. So it's was a challenging moment, but luckily I'm still here, survived. So yeah.
Okay, so this is a bit very broad question, but are there any commonalities and or differences between being an artist and being a gallery director?
Sure. At the beginning of the show, first of all, one of the most exciting and very happy moment of gallerist when I receive a beautiful work, and then especially I put those works in the space. I felt so, I'm always feeling so excited because it's like same as when you look at the canvas, you put your things, objects, and then you create a work, right? So it's like a 3D works of how, like, I collaborate with other artists and they send the works and I put together in a space so that people come in, they go, wow, it's beautiful, right? Because this is also very important part of curation, because when the works locate and curated well together with space, because when you walk into the space, you immediately have feeling. It's the same thing for when you even enter the retail space or even someone's house. There is certain energy, right? So I love creating the show. And I think that my job isn't different from just being an artist, but I work with the artists and I work with the team. So it's almost like expanding my small painting into the bigger, picture. But of course, I learn this is not just my own simple painting. This is together with so many people, related. So I have a heavy responsibility, not to just finishing the show and creating a show. I need to sell the work. Well, this is a very different but important, because what I learned from my journey that, maybe I was a little bit very naive as an artist, and because I didn't know any better, and being an artist is difficult unless you're very successful, or maybe some people are coming from super rich families so that they just do it as a hobby, whatever. But in real life, being an artist is tough, right? So they're having a tough time, and I have team that I need to support. So my job as a gallerist, at the end of the day, sales is like a flower. You make flower of the whole plants. Now sales, without money, I cannot finish my job. So yeah, this is something that was really tough. But what I believe was that if I have believed in art, and if I really convince people about how much I trust this artist, then it worked. Yeah.
I see. So you said you mean the whole gallery space and the whole show every time when you open the show, new show is a kind of piece of artwork. So you think you're doing creation still.
Yeah.
And the whole process is just like a collaborative artwork, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the show, you have to sell it, right? So
Right.
it's also part of your job, and that's the thing. It's different from being an artist, right? So you have responsibility to sell the artwork, right?
But even as an artist, there's a time that you need to practice and improve with so many different experience, like let's say your personal experience, but also you practice and you know, you continue making it, and that needs time, right?
Mhm.
And once it's, let's say I'm talking about professional artists.
Mhm.
Professional means simply actually you have to make living with art, right?
Right.
That is also at the end, you need to have money. I mean, you cannot just make works for nothing, right? So you have to show and sell it to the collector, and that's a fact, right? So of course, I'm not expecting and telling you guys that, oh, you have to make money with art right now, because you're young and you still need a long way to go to kind of find your own self and with your true voice as an artist. You gotta figure out, you gotta survive. And then, and when things are ready, I believe, you know, you can be there and you can continue your journey as an artist.
So maybe among the audience today, there must be some future director, future galleries, and future gallery owner, those who want to run their own art space, yeah, in the near future. So what do you think are the most important primary factors in running a gallery or an art space? And is there anything to prepare or study in advance to be to run their own space?
Sure. Someone asked me about, like, as an artist, there are not many, they may not have a lot of sales artwork experience. Any suggestion for them?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, it's a good question. Well, selling an art, especially as a young artist, is not always easy. Even as an experienced artist, is not always easy. But I do believe that there are many, like, alternative space or smaller scale gallery is starting and opening in Hong Kong as well.
Yes.
One thing I wish to see is that, like, back in 1990, Korea was not the same as now. The art scene is very strong now, but from 1990 to now, the whole art ecosystem has improved, which means there is not only a commercial gallery, but also alternative space and also art residence program. And so the whole society is supporting in many different ways, which means that there's a smaller, like, you know, emerging gallery, or, like, you know, just some space run by government. And so you can look for some sort of funding and sponsorship. And meanwhile, of course, if you have to just, you know, do some part-time of doing a design or whatever, it can be also helpful. But yeah, but again, like, in early 20, I'm sure you also have so many questions. So if you want to run a gallery now, you can start small. I know Hong Kong is a very tough city to rent a space because the rental is very expensive, but it doesn't have to be so big or big, like main location. You can find the smaller space and then work with some other friends together, and you can try something small. And little by little, I believe that, you know, I can feel that Hong Kong art scene is also very evolving, and a lot of people are actually supporting Hong Kong artists. So I tell you, this is now a better situation than before, not only for, you know, Korean artists, but also for Hong Kong artists. And yeah, but just like any other job, I have to tell you, any other job, even selling a dumpling on the street, people, life is tough and they work very hard. And a lot of jobs is a lot of reputation. You need to put effort you need to work hard, and it's not always rainbow or, pretty and beautiful as art. There's a lot of tears and sweat, but I'm sure you guys can do well.
So you already mentioned something about Hong Kong art scene and Korean art scene already. So you have worked in between the Hong Kong art scene and Korean art scene. Yeah. So what impresses you the most? What's the biggest difference between those two different art worlds?
Hong Kong is definitely a very international city, right?
Mhm.
It has a huge art market. I know, it doesn't mean that it's a huge and very supportive art ecosystem. But as I said, it's evolving. Many people ask me why there's so many Korean artists internationally. Well, I think that one thing I know is that all my professors, including all my professors and some of my senior and junior, all that, they've been always very, enthusiastic about art, and even after Korean War, when Korea was very poor, I think that they just work very hard. I'm sure it's same for Hong Kong. I'm sure same for everywhere. It's just that, I guess when things are right and when things in the right time, things have flower. Like now, I think that together with this whole K wave of culture and all that, people get to know more about Korean art. But it's not just happened a day or a decade. It's just been there, and people always have strong love for art.
Mhm.
But I'm sure I also learned that there's a lot of Hong Kong art scene. I mean, art community. It's just that I think it can be better, and the ecosystem can be more diverse, because, as I said, we need many layers in the industry, so that not only those very commercially successful artists, but also emerging young artists have chance to show the works.
So yeah, you're talking about the emergence of Korean culture, yeah, worldwide. And then during the pandemic, especially the worldwide art world turned its attention to the Korean art scene and its market. For example, Freeze Seoul just opened last year in Korea. And yeah, many people recently talk about the possibilities, Korean art, and also contemporary Asian art. So from your perspective as a gallery founder, what would be the strategies or strong point of Asian art or Korean art?
Well, as I said, Korea was not international before, but now everybody is interested, and together with K-pop and the K culture, drama, and all that, people are coming to Korea. But the point is, Hong Kong also has been always very strong art market. Having another international market in Korea is also, in a big picture, is a benefit for Asian artists, because one of the reasons why I start focusing on promoting the Asian artists, as a young artist, I learned all these postmodern, 90s and to 2000 artists. It was too much, overwhelming for me, honestly, because all my professor was talking about this Damien Hirst and all this, all these young boys and all that. And it was, to me, it's like, what's my contemporary? What's my postmodern? And it was like, oh, wow. But then realize again, I wanted to support more for Asian artists, and having a city like Seoul, having a city like Hong Kong, I think that the whole paradigm on art, how the modern art history, contemporary art history highlights on the Western art history, and then now together with interest of not only in Korean art but also Chinese art and Hong Kong, and even now they had the Singapore Art Fair.
Mm.
This whole paradigm on interest in not only art market but also locally supporting the art community is a good thing for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So your gallery also has tried to introduce not only Korean artists but also young Hong Kong artists. So did you get any impressions from them?
Sure. Yeah, I work with artists, couple of Hong Kong artists. They are very talented, and sometimes my gallery operation manager, she suggests some of the work, and I was very impressed. So we had created a couple of group shows together. I visited a couple of studio as well. Some has a very good studio, but some actually, many of them, the space is very limited in Hong Kong. So, but I think I always tell the young artists that, if the chef cut onion with a mouse, no one will taste your food, which means you need to practice, you need to paint, because a lot of artists nowadays have so much idea, but idea is also a form of energy. But if you cannot visualize as a visual artist, it's not yours. So either as a painter or as a other form like media artist, you gotta create the work and make something, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So before I ask the last question, I want you to ask a question to her. Yeah. I know you're a little bit shy, but please ask a question.
Oh, someone asked.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your presentation. Since you mentioned the studio visit in the documentary, I'd like to ask, what is the role of artist studio visit in curating an exhibition?
Oh,
what are the key elements you pay attention when visiting artist studio? Great question. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Again, I think that knowing the artist and knowing about artwork is essential for the creating a show and create a show exhibition. So I think that the most powerful work of art is actually when the artist is truly like making the works which is coming from their true heart. And this is very important part. So I need to meet the artist and I need to speak to the artist. And of course, the work has its own power, but I also realize that when I speak to the artist and I get more a strong, connection to the work. And because as a gallerist, I need to, my job is not only showing the works, I need to communicate with the audience. I need to communicate to collector. So again, like artwork isn't just a skill. Artwork is, at the end, your soul is reflecting on the visual form, right? So I believe that, like when the artists are like, when the artist has a very strong intention and the story, and also the work has a very strong message, then it's easier for me to kind of understand. And also it's important for me to communicate for creating a show.
Mhm. So you mean you focus on how strongly the artist and the concept and artwork are connected.
Yeah, because sometimes, without knowing what the intention is, it's hard to understand. But again, like being an artist or creating an artwork is an ongoing journey. So you need to also develop your own story and why I create this and what's the challenge and what is the goal of making this work. So the communication is very important between the curator and the artist and also gallerist. Because when the message is clear, the work shows. When the work has that clear, message or visually clear, strongly, have the concept, then I believe that the collector also feel, right? So as a gallerist, one of the important job actually, I sometimes thinking is like a matchmaking. Because every work has a wave, like some sort of what do you call this, decibel. So I'm connecting this artist energy to the collector who is interested and also inspire that energy. When they are connected and understand together, then they exchange.
I see. It's a great answer. Yeah. Is there any more question?
Wow, it's been already 1 hour.
Any more questions?
Yes. I hope the talk was helpful for you guys.
It was great, actually. So this would be the last question from me, maybe the last question of this talk. So are there any comments you want to give to young Hong Kong artists?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I know you guys doing really good, and I'm very proud of you guys that you are still have passion and working on art. As I mentioned, this is not an easy journey, but I believe this has meaning. Life has so many challenges, and not only as an artist, but also as a humble human beings. But this is wonderful that you fall in love with art, and whether you are very successful or not successful, still everyone has this question of what my life is about, right? So it doesn't matter how rich you are. Everybody will have this question, and they look for answer. And whether it can be art, it can be religion, it can be love. But again, art has no boundary, no division of nationality. It is one of the most powerful things that as a human being to search for. So the fact that you had chance to study about this in your young age, no matter whether you become an artist or whoever, this is a very powerful and this is a very beautiful moment in your life. So enjoy your day and enjoy your study and be, nice to yourself. Thank you.
Totally agree. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you so much.
We are going to wrap up today's talk now. So thank you. Yeah, thank you again, Rachel. We really appreciate your sharing today, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And we're going to do another talk in the next month. So
all right. Thank you, everyone. stop by Soluna.
Anytime.
Bye.
Bye-bye.